Welcome to Math 2.6. Everybody's favorite thing to do, estimate. Estimate with percents. Okay? There's many different ways to do this. I'm going to show you with these numbers, and then I have a couple over there. Estimating with percents. So I have 48% of 76. I want to make each closest to an easy number to understand. So 48% is really close to 50%. I know that 50% is half. Or I could go 50 over 100 and simplify that to be 1/2. Okay? When anything ever says of, it means multiplying it. So 1/2 of, 1/2 times something. 1/2 of 76. Could do that in my head. I'm going to make it a little bit easier. This is really close. I'm going to round it to 80. 1/2 of 80. 1/2 of 80, that's easy. It's 40. Half of 80 is 40. So, oops, I got to do these little things because it means about. So 48% of 76 is about 40. And I changed both this and this. I rounded them to make them easy numbers to deal with. 48% became 50, 76 became 80, 50% of 80, half of 80, 40. Okay, let's look at this one. I'm going to make this 20%. I'm going to make this 40. Okay, 20% of 40. Now, 20% is 20 over 100. I can simplify that to 2/10 and to 1/5. 1/5. So then 1/5 of 40, and I just put a 1 under that. 1 times 40 is 40. 5 times 1 is 5. 40 divided by 5 is a problem I can do in my head. It's 8. Okay? 8. So when I took this to 20%, and took this 42 to 40, then I could more easily do 1/5 of 40, or 1/5 times 40. I could have also crossed this out, divided by 5, that becomes 8, that becomes 1. 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 1 is 1, or 8. And I did a lot of this in my head, more than if I could do 18% of 42. Okay. The other way I do this is I always know 10% of something. 10%, so 40. If I have 10% of 40, I just get rid of this, and it's 4. 10% of 40 is 4. I need 20%, so I need two 10%. So 10 times 2, 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, that's a little bit more complicated way to do it. But when you can always figure out what 10% of something is, then you can kind of estimate that way too. That's a good way to do it. Even though it's 42, 10%, 10% of 42 is 4.2. It's this divided by 10. And then if I need 20%, I just 4.2 plus 4.2 is 8.2. Okay? So the 10% trick works. Don't worry so much about it. I would get it, do kind of what I'm doing here. Let's look at this one right here. So I have 73%. I'm going to make that 75%. Okay, 75%. I know that's 75 over 100. I simplify that to be 3/4. 3/4. Okay, and this 41, I'm going to make this 40. So 3/4 times or of 40. I just go like that. I can divide this by 4, divide this by 4. That gets me 10. That gets me 1. 3 times 10 is 30. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's about 30. Okay? 73% of 41 is about 30. And I know that makes sense because 73% is it's more than half of it. Okay? It's not quite the whole thing, but it's a good chunk more than half. So 30 is 30 more than half of 40? Yeah. It's not the whole thing, but it's more than half of 41 is about 20 something. So 30 is more than 20. Okay. All right. On this one, 18%. 18 is quite a bit less than 50%. And if I'm talking 50% of 40, that'd be 20. We're talking quite a bit less. So is this 8 less than 20? Yeah, that's pretty good. So you can kind of make sense of this. Ask yourself, does this make sense? When you're at 50%, I always like to take everything to 50% because it's easy cutting it in half. Okay, and then this one is less than 50%. This one's greater than 50%. Are we in the ballpark? Are we there? Yes. Okay. Let me show you a different way. When you have something with a number near 100, okay? Now this is 300, but it's near an even 100, okay? I'm going to round this to 300. 300. This I'm going to keep the same, 27% of 300. So I'm going to do 27% of 100, 27% of 100, 27% of 100. Okay? 20% of 100 is 27. So if I take 100 shots and I make 27% of them, I've made 27 of them. So 27% of 100 is 27. That's 20. Oops. That's 27, and that's 27. So I need 27% of 300. This is of 100, of 100, of 100. So I just add these up. 7, 14, 21, 2, 4, 6, 8. 81. It's about 81. If you can get it to where it's 100, then you know the percent, the number is what you have. 27% of 100 is 27. Okay? The way you know that works is, let's make this into a decimal. 27%, decimals here, 1, 2. Okay? There you go. Times 100. And because it's times 100, I go 100 times 0.27. 0, 0, 7. Add my 0. 0, 0, 2. Add them up. 0, 0, 7, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2 equals 27. Or whenever you're doing it by 100, you just go over, you have 2 zeros, so you go over 1, 2, and you have 27. Okay? So 27% of 100 is 27. Let's do this next one. This only works if this number is close to an even 100. 192, very close to 200. 200. I'm going to keep this 76% of 200. Now, I'm going to do 76% of 100 and 76% of 100. Because this 100 and this 100 will get me the 200. Okay? 76% of 100 is 76. And 76% of 100 is 76. Okay? If I have 100 problems, I get 76% correct. I've got 76 of the problems correct. That's when it equals 100%. Okay? Now, I just add these up to 152. 152. So again, I can kind of check this mentally to say 76 is more than 50%. And if this is about 200, I'm going to get quite a bit more than 100, because 100 would be 50%. I have 152. I'm feeling good that I'm in the range. Um, and this one is 27. So this is less than half. It's quite a bit less than half. Quite a bit less than half. A half of 300 is 150. 81 is quite a bit less than 150. So I feel like I'm in the ballpark there. Okay? So that's how you estimate percentages. If the number is not close to 100, like on these over here, they weren't close to 100, 76, 42, 41, then you can change this one and this one. Get them to numbers that are easy to work with, and then you do an estimation. Okay? All right, go ahead and watch the guided practice. I'll do a little bit more of these. Then try the independent practice. You can see me do those, and you'll give it one last go with the extra practice. If you have any questions, please let me